for another lesson on Marty Music. Marty, thank you so much for having me. Today, I would like to talk about getting the most out of your capo. The capo is such a clever little tool that I actually don't use enough, and I need to remember to use it more than I should. It's an incredible way of learning at the very least 4 or 5 chords and being able to play thousands of songs just with the use of a capo. So there are so many different kinds of capos. I genuinely like to use a spring-loaded capo, one that's just really easily, you like squeeze it and it clamps on your neck. You can adjust a lot of the springs depending on if you're playing on an acoustic versus an electric. A lot of times an acoustic needs a little bit more tension than an electric guitar. Electric guitar needs a little bit less tension. Otherwise, if you put it on and it clamps the neck too hard, it can really make your tuning go out of tune pretty fast. So I genuinely like a spring-loaded one that just clamps on. There are also capos that you can screw on, and they're sometimes nice if you really want to adjust the tension and keep it exactly right. And so they sometimes have a bar that goes over and then you just sort of screw them in place. But sometimes when you're in the middle of a show, this can be a harder capo to put on. You want to make sure that you don't screw it too tight, otherwise your tuning is going to go haywire. I genuinely find sometimes the screw capos do stay stronger longer, but they are just a lot more of a hassle when you're trying to put a capo on quick. There are also capos that have straps or toggles that you like wrap around the fret. And although those are great, still my favorite is just this one that you can squeeze and put on because it's so easy. And you can also store it at the end of your guitar, so it's always at easy reach. Okay, so if you use 5 standard chords, let's say a handful of them, so your C, your D, your G, your A. C, D, G, and A. And let's say you want to play a song that's in a different key, but you don't know all of these other chords. You can use your capo and transpose to a different key and just use those same chords. So let's say we're gonna go to capo 2. All of a sudden, your D becomes an E chord, your C becomes a D chord, your G becomes an A chord, and your A becomes a B chord, just by using your capo. And you can play the same shapes, but have completely different chords if you move it up 1 more fret to your 4th fret. And generally, I like to put my capo right behind the fret bar. That's generally the best position. Your D becomes an F sharp. Your G becomes a B. Your A becomes a C sharp. And your C becomes an E. It's kind of crazy how just using the same chord shapes can give you completely different keys. And a lot of times when you're Googling chords, they'll be like, okay, well, capo 4, play C. And you're like, okay, well, I know a C chord. I don't know an E chord. This is actually an E chord, but I just know a C chord. And so you can totally use it as a way to transpose without having to transpose. The other thing I love about a capo is you can play different voicings. Let's see. We'll use E, for example, and you're just playing an E chord down here, and it sounds big and robust. So you can choose to play capo 4, play C, like a C form. You're still playing that E, but you have a lot more to play with. Around different chord shapes and different voicings. Let's say we wanted to use our G form. This is still an E, but we'd be capoed all the way up here on our 9th fret, which is a little bit excessive, but if you want to play certain things, you can play different voicings, and let's say you have a couple of guitar players, you could all position yourself at different points in the neck and really have a full sound. Also, when I started playing guitar, it was much easier for me to capo up the neck because to play this E, it's a lot easier on your fingers when you're capoing up high than it is to play even chords down here or bar chords. You need to press down a lot less firmer when you're playing higher up the neck. So it's kind of a cool way to actually start and not have to press down as hard. The other thing I love about a capo is you can experiment with drop tunings. There's a whole bunch of different capos actually you can buy that have like slots that are open for the strings. But even if you just have a standard capo, you can capo on the 2nd fret with leaving the low E string open. And then you can play a D shape. So this is like an E, but it just gives you a different voicing. Again, it's another way of playing an E chord with a low drone. How awesome does that sound, right? And then you're in your D shape and you have all of the little D shape things you can do. And you can still play D, G, A. You can play all of your chords, but you just get that low drone. It makes your guitar sound massive. You can even do it up 2 more frets if we're still sticking with E. Now, of course, you can apply this to so many different chords. But if we played our C shape on the 4th fret capoed with the low E string ringing out, again, it sounds massive. It's basically just a way for you to really layer textures, layer voicings. I love songwriting, experimenting with a capo, and just playing with different positions around the neck. It really brings out different melodies. I find it can really help with filling out a song. Let's say you're stacking 2 different progressions. Just capo it up a few frets and play the same progression with a capo, and it will make your guitar sound so massive. Well guys, that's a little bit of a deep dive into what you can do with the capo. It's really endless with the amount of voicings and different positions you can play, but this little thing is so, so, so powerful. I'm Lindsay L. Make sure to subscribe to Marty Music, like this video, and check out my channel at the link below. We'll see you next time.